Do not listen to this speech casually. Listen with a pen in your hand and fire in your chest, because what I'm about to give you is not opinion, it is instruction. One thought, one declaration, one sentence that, if spoken daily for 30 days, will rebuild your identity, reprogram your mind, and redirect your entire future. But this will only work if you obey every word. If you drift, if your attention strays, if you miss even a single detail, you may miss the key. The secret is not shouted, it is hidden, and it reveals itself only to the man who listens with discipline. You are about to learn how to speak belief until it becomes law, how to use repetition to erase fear, how to install new identity, command your subconscious, and act with conviction, no matter your past. In 30 days, you can become a man who moves without doubt, speaks without hesitation, and finishes what he starts. This is not a theory. It is a process. And the process begins now. Are you tired of feeling like your mind runs without your permission? Are you sick of knowing what to do, but never doing it? Do you want to wake up with direction and power instead of fear and delay? Do you want to stop thinking like the man you used to be and start becoming the man you were born to become? Then listen, word for word, line by line, because this message is not just meant to motivate you, it is meant to install a new you. And if you're ready, we begin now. Every man is ruled by a thought, whether he has chosen it or allowed it to choose him. Whether he admits it or not, every man's life is the echo of one dominant idea. This thought colors his decisions, guides his habits, controls his emotions, and builds the rhythm of his destiny. The tragedy is that most men never stop long enough to ask, what thought is ruling me? And worse still, most do not realize that the thought they serve was never theirs to begin with. Some men are ruled by the thought, I always fail. Others live under the shadow of, I'm not ready, or I'm just not that type of person. These are not just words, they are mental commands. Planted early, spoken repeatedly, and reinforced by emotion and hesitation, these phrases become fixed laws in the subconscious mind. The subconscious does not argue, it does not weigh, it obeys, it receives what is repeated, and it builds a life to match the instruction it has been given. And so I tell you, if you are lost, if you feel powerless, if you find yourself repeating patterns of hesitation, procrastination, confusion, or weakness, it is because the thought that governs you is not one of your own making. You have inherited it, you have rehearsed it, you have lived it, but you did not choose it. The mind, like a fertile garden, will grow weeds if you do not plant seed. Left unattended, your thoughts will default to the habits of fear. The world will do the planting for you. And make no mistake, the world sows weakness. It sows fear of criticism. It sows conformity. It does not want your thought to be powerful, for a man who thinks powerfully acts powerfully, and powerful action makes the world nervous. But the mind will also obey you. And here is where everything changes. For if you choose the thought, and if you repeat it with faith, with emotion, and with discipline, the mind will receive it as law. And once it is law in the subconscious, it begins to shape everything, the tone of your voice, the speed of your decision, the posture of your body, the direction of your life. This is why I say, you do not need many thoughts, you need one. One dominating thought, one commanding idea, one mental decree. And it must not be random. It must be chosen, written, spoken, and acted upon until it becomes the only voice your subconscious obeys. For the next 30 days, I will give you a mission, not a challenge, not a suggestion, a mission. You must choose one thought, and that thought must be your definite chief aim, the clear statement of what you intend to achieve, become, and experience. Once you have written this aim, you will speak it aloud every morning. You will visualize its fulfillment. You will act toward it. And you will repeat this process daily without missing a single day. You will do this not to impress others. You will do this to rebuild your identity. You are not fixing your life. You are replacing the thought that rules it. Understand the principle. Repetition creates reality. The man who repeats a lie eventually believes it. The man who repeats truth with emotion eventually becomes it. Your job is not to believe the new thought on day one. Your job is to repeat it until belief appears. You may say, "But I don't fully believe yet." That does not matter. Speak it anyway. The subconscious is not waiting for certainty. It is waiting for consistency. This is the same principle upon which all greatness is built. Edison repeated the thought of success 10,000 times before the light ever appeared. Ford believed in the 8-cylinder engine when every expert said it was impossible. Carnegie believed in the rise of men from poverty to power long before society was willing to accept it. These men were not ruled by their environment. They were ruled by their thought. And their thought was chosen, not inherited. I tell you now, do not let your thought be decided by your past. Do not let your thought be written by critics or cowards. You must decide. You must write the sentence that your life shall obey. And so I give you a model, one that you may use or adapt or improve as you wish, but it must be yours. And you must repeat it as though your life depended on it, because it does. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. This is not poetry. This is instruction. This is the declaration that no other thought shall rule you. No voice of hesitation, no whisper of fear, no echo of the past. You are taking the helm. You are seizing the reins. You are claiming your authority over thought, and with it, over action, and with it, over results. You must now decide, what is the one thought I will repeat for 30 days? Let it be your chief aim. Let it be written in the present. Let it carry belief, even if belief feels foreign. And then you must obey the process. Speak it each morning. Speak it aloud. Let your ears hear your voice. Let your body feel your authority. Then close your eyes and see the fulfillment of that thought as though it were already done. Then move. Take one action in alignment with it. And at day's end, speak it again. Do not allow a single day to pass without this process. This is your new law. This is the thought that will replace all others. This is the seed from which your identity shall grow. You do not need more information. You need repetition of belief. You need to think this one thought with the same intensity that others repeat fear. You need to make this thought the rhythm of your life. Now take up your pen, write the thought, speak it aloud, and begin your 30 days, not as a wanderer, but as a builder. If the mind is the engine, the definite chief aim is the track. Without it, power is wasted. Potential is scattered. Movement becomes meaningless. But once you fix your mind on a central purpose, once you engrave it into your daily thought, your words, and your conduct, then the energy within you, the ideas around you, and the unseen forces of nature itself begin to organize in obedience to that aim. The definite chief aim is not a wish. It is not a vague hope, nor a half-formed ambition. It is a command, a ruling thought, a mental decree. It is the one sentence that all other thoughts must kneel before. A man may have talents, he may have energy, he may even have moments of inspiration. But if he lacks a chief aim, he remains a wanderer. And the world does not reward wandering, it rewards direction. You must understand this. A man with a definite chief aim does not drift, he builds. He does not react, he directs. He does not live in cycles of confusion, he rises through clarity. He becomes a magnet for progress because all his thoughts, decisions, and habits align under one governing purpose. Most men avoid this decision. They speak of balance, of being open to options. They are afraid to choose, for they fear they may choose wrongly. But let me tell you this, it is not wrong to pursue one aim, it is wrong to pursue none. The man who chooses something and moves toward it, no matter how imperfectly, learns. He grows. He sharpens his direction by experience. But the man who chooses nothing repeats everything. He walks in circles and calls it exploration. You must now make a decision that most men never make in their lifetime. You must decide what you want, and you must write it. Your definite chief aim must be clear. It must be measurable. It must have a timeline. And above all, it must stir your blood when you read it aloud. For if it does not move you emotionally, it will never move the world to assist you. Let me show you how to build it. Clarity. What specifically do you desire to achieve? Not just success, but the form of it. Write it with precision. Measurement. Define the standard. What will it look like when it is achieved? What result proves it is complete? Time. When will you have it? Without a date, the mind does not treat the aim as real. Emotion. Why must you achieve it? What pain are you ending? What life are you claiming? Feel this. A vague aim is like a cloud. You cannot climb it. But a definite aim is a ladder. Each rung is clear. Each action connects. And with each repetition of that aim, the subconscious begins reshaping your identity to match it. You no longer act randomly. You act in harmony with your command. Let me now remind you of a moment that changed the course of my own life. I was a young man when I first met Andrew Carnegie. I admired his success. I wished to understand how a man of such power and impact had built his fortune. I did not expect that within minutes he would turn the question on me. "What is your definite purpose in life?" he asked. I answered, but not with power. I mumbled. I hesitated. I spoke in generalities. He stopped me. "You have 30 seconds to answer with clarity, or you are not yet fit for what I am about to give you." That moment burned itself into my soul. I realized then that all my study, all my reading, all my ambition was nothing without direction. And so I made a decision. I would dedicate my life to uncovering, organizing, and teaching the laws of success. That became my chief aim. And that single sentence, repeated with faith and pursued with action, opened the doors to everything that followed. It was because I had a chief aim that Carnegie opened his network of 500 successful men to me. It was because I had a chief aim that I persisted through discouragement, poverty, and ridicule. It was because I had a chief aim that I could repeat my mission aloud, morning and night, until my subconscious began to build the reality around it. You must now do the same. Take your pen, write your definite chief aim. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, write it as a man speaks to his own soul. Write it as a promise. Write it as a command. Then memorize it. Then speak it every morning as the first act of your day. Then speak it every night before your head touches the pillow. Then speak it throughout the day when fear or distraction appear. Let this one thought become the ruler of your mental kingdom. Do not worry if it changes later. A moving aim is better than none at all. What matters now is direction. The mind must have it. Otherwise, it turns inward and begins to feed on itself in worry, in self-doubt, in fear. A mind without aim becomes a mind at war. But a mind with a chief aim becomes a fortress. It becomes the command center of a life lived on purpose. And once your subconscious accepts this aim, it will begin doing what it was designed to do. It will find patterns, opportunities, associations, ideas, and bursts of power that all align with the one thought you've planted. The subconscious is your silent builder. It does not sleep, it does not resist, it only obeys. And now you are giving it a plan. You are giving it a mission. You are giving it a new name to answer to. Speak this affirmation aloud. Let it anchor this decision. I know what I want. I think of it daily. I speak it with faith. I move forward. Say it again. Say it louder. Let it bury the old rhythm of doubt. Now you must make your definite chief aim your one thought. Not just for today, not just for a week, for the next 30 days and beyond. Speak it. Write it. Live it. Let it guide your words. Let it guide your speech. Let it correct your distractions. Let it mold your identity. Because once your thought becomes fixed, so will your future. You do not believe your chief aim yet because you have not installed it. You do not act boldly because your subconscious has not received the new command. It is not that you are broken. It is that your belief has not yet been repeated enough to become your default identity. Let me say what few will tell you. Belief is not a feeling that visits the fortunate. Belief is a condition built by repetition, cemented by emotion, and made permanent through the law of autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is not poetry. It is not affirmation for decoration. It is the precise mechanical process by which you reprogram your subconscious mind to accept a new identity, a new command, a new purpose. It is the law by which every man who has risen from obscurity to greatness has reconditioned himself internally before he ever altered his external results. Let me give it to you plain. The subconscious mind does not argue, it does not reason, it does not analyze, it does not ask if what you are saying is possible, it only listens. And what it hears most often, most emotionally, and most consistently, it installs. That thought becomes your blueprint, and from that blueprint, it creates the patterns of your behavior, the tone of your voice, the rhythm of your actions, the posture of your identity. You are not controlled by circumstance, you are controlled by suggestion. You are either the master of that suggestion or its slave. And so I now give you the discipline, the practice of speaking your chief aim aloud every day until it becomes so familiar to your subconscious that it forgets how to obey anything else. This is not optional. This is not decorative. This is the central ritual of transformation. Every morning, before the world has spoken to you, before the day pulls at your mind, you must speak your chief aim aloud. Stand. Breathe. Speak with energy. Let your voice rise to meet your future. Look yourself in the eye in the mirror if you must. Say it not like a man reciting a line, but like a man issuing a command. Your subconscious is waiting for orders. Give them. At midday, when the noise of the day has begun to press upon you, when your mind is tempted to return to familiar distractions, pause. Whisper your aim silently. Remind your subconscious of the path it is still walking. This silent repetition restores your attention. It returns your power. At night, before your head touches the pillow, speak it again, with conviction, with certainty. For what the subconscious hears last before sleep, it will review, replay, and reinforce through the night. This is not superstition. This is science. What you repeat before bed becomes part of the rhythm the mind builds upon. Let no day pass without this triple repetition. Morning fire, midday focus, night sealing. These are your appointments with the subconscious. Keep them sacred. Now let me show you this principle in the life of one of history's greatest builders, Thomas Edison. This man failed over 10,000 times in his pursuit to create the electric light. And yet he never once allowed failure to install itself as belief. Why? Because each day he fed his mind one suggestion. It will work. He said it. He saw it. He acted on it. Even as the world laughed, even as others quit, he held to the thought until it became his invention. Edison did not just invent light, he thought it into existence. Edison practiced autosuggestion not as a side habit, but as the engine of his belief. He did not wait to feel confident. He spoke confidence until confidence became reality. He did not consult the past. He repeated the future until his present bent to match it. This is the process. Speak it, feed it, repeat it. The subconscious will respond. That is the law of cosmic habit force. The law of cosmic habit force is the invisible law by which repeated thoughts and actions become permanent behavior. It is the builder of your automatic reactions, the designer of your defaults. When you repeat a thought long enough with enough emotion, the subconscious no longer waits for your voice. It obeys the rhythm you've established. It becomes you. You speak from it. You move from it. You live from it. This law has no favorites. It works for the man who repeats belief, and it works just as powerfully for the man who repeats fear. It is no respecter of truth. It only obeys repetition. This is why most men live in hesitation. It is not because they were born weak. It is because they have repeated weakness in thought and word for years. They have said, "I can't," more than they've said, "I will." They have imagined failure more than they've envisioned success. And the subconscious, always loyal, obeyed. But today, you will begin feeding your mind a different thought, your one thought, your chief aim. You will speak it aloud. You will feed it with faith. You will whisper it when tempted to quit. You will speak it louder than fear. You will speak it when no one is listening, and eventually belief will speak back. Let me give you the affirmation now. Speak it with strength. Let it become the echo that replaces every whisper of doubt. I feed my subconscious daily. I speak belief until belief speaks back. Say it again. I feed my subconscious daily. I speak belief until belief speaks back. This is how you build the man. This is how you change the pattern. This is how you install confidence, discipline, and clarity into your bloodstream. Do not question whether this is working. That is the old mind trying to interrupt the new rhythm. Your only job is repetition. The results will come, the mind will shift, your action will align, and the world, seeing the power in your identity, will begin to reflect it back to you. Now begin. Say the thought aloud. Speak your chief aim. Speak it until your voice is no longer surprised to hear it. Speak it until your subconscious receives the message and begins to move before your conscious mind even asks. You are not hoping anymore. You are installing. You are not trying. You are commanding. You are not reciting. You are rewriting. This is the law, and now it is yours to obey. There is a law that governs every corner of your mental life, whether you are aware of it or not. It is silent, constant, and perfectly obedient. It is the reason one thought becomes 10. It is the force that gathers habits around an idea and magnetizes action to belief. I call it the law of harmony, and it states, all thoughts attract similar thoughts. Every mental pattern seeks reinforcement. Every dominant thought calls to itself companions of its own nature. And you, whether you realize it or not, are either building a mental empire or a mental prison by this law. When you think one thought repeatedly, it does not stay alone. It begins to summon its own kind. Think of failure, and your mind will recall every failure you've ever known. Speak doubt, and the mind will find more reasons to hesitate. But repeat belief, true, emotional, unwavering belief, and that belief will begin to call to itself new courage, new clarity, new action, and new results. Thoughts, like habits, do not live in isolation. They form communities. They build rhythm. They recruit. This is why your chief aim must become the central idea around which all others orbit. If you repeat it faithfully, guard it vigilantly, and speak it with unwavering decision, your mind will begin to align in harmony with it. You will start to see new ideas, feel new urges to act, and notice a new voice that speaks possibility where once there was paralysis. But beware. If you permit contradiction, if you give voice to fear, if you entertain doubt in casual conversation or silent inner murmurs, you are planting weeds in your mental soil. And those weeds grow fast. They tangle the rhythm. They choke the new growth. The law of harmony works both ways. It will build your vision or destroy it depending on what you repeat. You cannot plant one seed and then water the weeds. You cannot speak your chief aim in the morning and speak fear by noon. You cannot affirm strength while complaining of weakness. Every thought you think becomes either a supporter or a saboteur. Your mind is not neutral, it is obedient, and it is always building around the thoughts that dominate. Let me give you an example of this law in motion. Henry Ford. He was a man mocked, doubted, resisted. He was told the 8-cylinder engine could not be built. He was told his model of mass production would collapse. But Ford understood something that few men of his time ever practiced. He rejected contradiction. He did not tolerate debate over his vision. He surrounded himself only with those who affirmed it. He did not permit the voices of doubt to take root in his mind or in his company. Why? because he knew that every contrary voice, if permitted, would break the mental harmony that made his vision real. Ford did not need everyone to agree. He needed his mind to be one. He needed thought, word, and action to align with one purpose. That is the power of harmony. That is the power of refusing to entertain division in your belief. Now I ask you, who do you allow to speak into your mind? Do you permit the opinions of men who have no aim? Do you tolerate conversations that contradict your vision? Do you speak your chief aim aloud, only to undo it with casual jokes about your limitations? If so, then you are not harmonizing your thought. You are sabotaging it. Your chief aim must be protected like treasure. It must not be handed over to critics or placed before the untrained mind. It must not be contradicted by your own lips. If you speak it in the morning and doubt it by night, your subconscious receives no clear instruction. It sees contradiction. And where there is contradiction, there can be no progress. Harmony means this: all parts of your mind, all habits of your behavior, and all expressions of your voice must begin to move in the same direction. When they do, your results will multiply. Energy will return. Action will become easier. You will feel what few men ever feel: the power of being internally unified. The scattered man is exhausted. The unified man is energized. You must repeat your chief aim so consistently, so clearly, so confidently, that other thoughts have no room to speak. You must not leave space for contradiction. You must train your tongue to obey your purpose. You must train your environment to reflect your belief. If you are surrounded by those who tear at your dream, you must either change their influence or change your company. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. The law of harmony works through repetition. It works through reinforcement. Each time you repeat your aim, your mind strengthens its attraction to supporting thoughts. Each time you contradict it, the mind grows confused. You must decide, will you speak the thought that builds, or will you allow the ones that destroy? Let me give you your instruction for the next phase of this journey. Speak your chief aim with force and belief. Refuse to speak any statement that contradicts it. Remove from your vocabulary all phrases of doubt, delay, and complaint. Choose to associate with those who reinforce your identity, not those who drain it. Return to your aim whenever distraction appears. This is mental training. You are building a force of thought that cannot be shaken. You are harmonizing your being to move in one direction. And when the law of harmony is obeyed, momentum builds without resistance. When it is disobeyed, your effort feels heavy, your belief fades, and your life returns to the drift. Speak this affirmation now. Let it become your filter, your guard, your internal compass. My mind is a temple. I permit only thoughts that build the life I have declared. Say it again. My mind is a temple. I permit only thoughts that build the life I have declared. Say it every time you are tempted to contradict yourself. Say it when old habits call your name. Say it when doubt whispers through someone else's voice. This is your sanctuary now. Your thought is your throne, and no intruder may speak here. Harmony is not soft. Harmony is not passive. Harmony is the alignment of power. Let your thought attract more of its kind. Let your chief aim build a structure around itself until you no longer wonder what to do, because your whole being now knows where it is going. This is not a single decision. This is a way of thinking. This is the formation of a rhythm so strong that other rhythms cannot enter. This is how you build a mind too unified to be shaken. Every failure, every retreat, every compromise made against your own potential can be traced to one silent master, a thought you repeated until it became your identity. It is not the difficulty of your circumstances that defeats you. It is not the lack of opportunity. It is not the absence of help. It is the invisible rhythm of doubt, learned, spoken, reinforced, until you no longer hear it as a voice, but as truth. You say, I'm not ready. You say, I always fail. You say, maybe I'll begin tomorrow. These phrases are not harmless. They are orders. And the subconscious, as I've told you many times, does not argue. It obeys. The man who repeats hesitation becomes hesitant. The man who speaks uncertainty begins to move as though uncertain. The man who entertains the voice of limitation soon becomes its echo. These thoughts are not yours. They were handed to you by parents who doubted themselves, by teachers who feared ambition, by companions who confused caution with wisdom. But what was handed to you need not be kept, and what you have spoken, you can replace. Most men never confront these thoughts. They do not realize that every sentence they've repeated in weakness is now hardwired into their self-image. You cannot rebuild your life without first destroying the foundation of falsehood. You must kill the old thought, not challenge it, not debate it, not manage it. Kill it. And to do that, I will give you a ritual, one you must not skip. Take out a blank page, sit alone, and write, without filtering, every self-defeating thought you've allowed to live in your mind. Write each lie, each phrase, each mental reflex. I'm not good enough. I've already failed too many times. People like me don't succeed. What's the point? Let them bleed onto the page. Once you've written them all, I want you to read them aloud, not with fear, not with reverence, but with fire. Read them once to face them. Then take that page and burn it. Watch it turn to ash. Watch your old identity lose its place of honor. That paper is no longer permitted to speak for you. Those sentences are no longer law. But this is only half the work. You cannot leave the throne empty. You must install a new voice. Now take a second page, and this time, write a new script. One that begins with, I am the type of person who... Do not write how you feel. Write what you intend. You are not describing who you've been. You are declaring who you have chosen to be. Here are your new phrases. I am the type of person who acts in spite of fear. I am the type of person who finishes what he starts. I am the type of person who wakes with purpose and moves with decision. I am the type of person who repeats belief until it becomes identity. These are not affirmations, these are blueprints. And with repetition, your subconscious will obey them as readily as it once obeyed doubt. Say them every morning. Say them when hesitation appears. Say them when results are not yet visible. The man who repeats identity becomes the man he declares. Now let me show you how this law worked in the life of a man I have admired more than most, Abraham Lincoln. Here was a man who failed in business, lost an election, faced public ridicule, endured heartbreak, was called unqualified, was mocked for his appearance. Yet he rose, not because of charm, not because of connections, but because he never allowed failure to define his inner voice. When others said, you are not fit, he said, I must continue. When he lost again, he did not say, I'm cursed. He said, the cause is still worthy. He was not governed by results. He was governed by a belief he repeated until it drowned out every disappointment. That is how belief is built, not by victory, but by repetition in the face of resistance. You now must do the same. Your past cannot speak for you unless you give it your voice. Your failures are not final unless you repeat them. If you declare a new thought, feed it, speak it, act upon it, and reinforce it daily, the old one will starve. Doubt cannot survive where decision is repeated. This is the difference between those who rise and those who remain. The drifter is loyal to his old voice. The builder installs a new one, and he does it through repetition without apology. You must now speak the new voice. Speak this affirmation now, aloud, with breath, with energy. I no longer repeat doubt. I speak faith until it becomes my reflex. Say it again. I no longer repeat doubt. I speak faith until it becomes my reflex. This is your mental reconditioning. This is your new law. You do not wait for belief, you build it. You do not consult your fear, you override it. You do not obey the old thought, you replace it. Let this be your daily pattern. Burn the old page, write the new script, speak it aloud. Repeat it through your day. Refuse to contradict it in speech or thought. Do not tolerate a single moment where you entertain the old voice. If it appears, speak your new declaration louder. Act against the hesitation. The subconscious will believe what is repeated with emotion. That is the law. And now that you know the law, your only task is obedience. Say your lines. Act as your script. Persist through the silence and become the man who no longer wonders who he is because he hears the answer in his own voice. Repetition alone is not enough. You may speak your definite chief aim with power. You may repeat your identity with fire. You may whisper your belief into the silence, but until you move, nothing changes. Thought is the blueprint. Speech is the command, but action is the cement that makes your inner world permanent. Without action, your affirmation becomes noise. Without action, your vision becomes fantasy. Without action, you will speak of what you believe, but your subconscious will never believe what you speak. Let me be clear. Every time you act in alignment with your chief aim, you carve that belief deeper into your subconscious. The subconscious responds to proof. It hears what you say, but it remembers what you do. One act of courage reinforces your identity more than 100 repetitions spoken without movement. And the opposite is just as true. If you repeat the words but act against them, the subconscious records contradiction. And contradiction weakens the rhythm you are trying to build. You must now understand the law. What is not acted upon fades. If you speak belief in the morning but delay your duties all day, your mind concludes that you were not serious. If you declare your identity as a man of decision but spend the day in indecision, your mind rejects the declaration. This is why so many men repeat affirmations but remain the same. They do not prove the belief with movement. Let me remind you of this. Every act of movement in alignment with your chief aim, no matter how small, is a brick. One phone call, one bold conversation, one decision made quickly, one task completed with intensity. These are not tasks. They are tools. And every time you use them, you build internal momentum. That momentum begins to run faster than fear. You stop thinking so much and start moving more. And the man who moves consistently begins to believe himself without effort. You do not need to accomplish everything today, but you must confirm your belief with one act. Even an imperfect step taken in the direction of your aim is more powerful than a perfect plan that remains unexecuted. Action cures fear. Action silences doubt. Action writes the new identity into the muscle of your character. Do you remember the story of Charles M. Schwab? He began as a laborer in the steel mills. He had no title, no wealth, no name. But he had one thing, a dominating thought. He believed himself capable of leadership long before the world did. And he repeated that belief, not just in thought and word, but in action. Every day he acted as the man he had declared himself to be. He worked harder. He moved faster. He spoke with more certainty. He took on more responsibility. And eventually, the world caught up. He rose to the top not by chance, but by repeated alignment between belief and behavior. This is your formula now. You must no longer separate what you believe from how you behave. Your inner world must direct your outer steps. And to ensure this happens daily, I now give you a system. Here is your 4-step discipline. Follow it without compromise. 1. Speak your thought aloud. Begin each morning by standing tall, looking yourself in the mirror if necessary, and declaring your definite chief aim. Speak it with volume. Speak it with authority. Let your voice become the voice of law. This sets the tone. It reestablishes command. 2. Visualize it with clarity. After you speak it, close your eyes. See the outcome. Imagine the result. Feel it as though it were already yours. Walk through the image in your mind. Smell the room. Hear the voices. Let it become real. The subconscious accepts what it can see and feel. This is how belief moves from surface to root. 3. Take one action in alignment. Do not end a single day without movement. Call the man, send the letter, finish the chapter, apply for the position, speak to the customer, refuse the distraction. Whatever your aim demands, act in its direction. Even a small action taken every day reshapes the path before you. 4. Record it. At the end of the day, open your notebook. Write what you did, what you thought, how you moved, what you noticed. This is your evidence. This is the trail of belief becoming real. Your subconscious sees the written record and begins to accept the new identity as factual because it is now measurable. These 4 steps are not merely a practice. They are a lifestyle. They are the rhythm of the builder, not the drifter. And the man who lives in this rhythm for 30 days will begin to notice something that will forever separate him from the average. He no longer needs to believe in himself because his actions are doing the believing for him. This is how you train the mind, not by argument, not by hope, but by proof. The subconscious is not waiting for more speeches. It is waiting for alignment between thought, word, and deed. If you fail to act, the thought fades. If you speak but do not move, you create inner resistance. If you repeat your identity but contradict it with your behavior, your subconscious records confusion. But if you act even once, your subconscious whispers, "Perhaps he means it this time." Do it again, and the whisper becomes agreement. Do it again, and the agreement becomes identity. Do it again, and that identity becomes unstoppable. Say this aloud. Let it become your daily code. I prove my belief daily through decisive action. I act in alignment. I build without retreat. Say it again. I prove my belief daily through decisive action. I act in alignment. I build without retreat. This is your task. Do not let a single day pass without movement. One small step confirms the man you have decided to become. One action clears the path. One bold motion writes your belief into your body. You do not need to feel ready. You need to move. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You do not need to convince the world. You need to convince your subconscious. And once you do, once action matches affirmation, you will begin to feel the full force of alignment. Thought, word, and behavior moving in harmony. And from that harmony, results will appear with a speed that will astonish you. There will come a day, soon, when your voice falters. When the affirmation you declared so boldly in the morning feels like fiction by the afternoon. When the vision you repeated begins to blur, and the action you promised to take feels heavier than it should. When the excitement of beginning gives way to the weight of repetition. That day is not a warning. It is not a sign you're failing. It is a sign you are changing. Understand this. The subconscious resists change not because it is your enemy, but because it is loyal to what you have fed it longest. It has obeyed the rhythm of hesitation for years. It has been trained to respond to delay, to flinch at resistance, to retreat when no immediate results appear. When you give it a new command, bold, unfamiliar, definite, it will not salute on the first day. It will test you. It will wait to see if you meant what you said. You may feel doubt. You may feel fatigue. You may be tempted to pause your affirmations, to just skip today, to tell yourself, I'll start fresh tomorrow. But let me tell you, delay is not a message to stop. It is the test of how much you meant your declaration. All great builders are tested. All permanent identities are forged in the moments when results are not yet visible. And it is only the man who persists who transforms the invisible into the real. Persistence is not a quality. It is not a mood. It is a mental command. It is the discipline of showing up to your repetition, to your identity, to your definite chief aim, when no one is watching, when nothing has changed, when the voice of fear is loud and the evidence is small. The man who builds anything of value, be it fortune, character, health, or peace, has learned to repeat the same thought, the same action, the same word of faith, even while delay stretches before him. He does not repeat because he is sure of the outcome. He repeats because he has decided that his identity is non-negotiable. Let me remind you of a story I've told many times, but it must be heard again here. It is the story of the gold prospector in Colorado. He found a vein of gold, purchased machinery, dug and drilled, And then, suddenly, the gold disappeared. He continued for a time, then gave up, sold the equipment to a junk man. That junk man called in a mining engineer. The expert examined the mine and discovered that the original prospector had stopped 3 feet from gold. The junk man kept drilling, and he struck a fortune, not because he was better, but because he persisted. There are men who come within inches of transformation, but stop because the results did not arrive in the week they expected. There are men who speak belief for 7 days, but do not persist through the 8th, when the voice of the old self comes back one more time to challenge the throne. The gold is there, the new identity is forming, the law is working, but it only obeys those who persist. And so I give you this truth, one that you must write, one that you must speak aloud every time doubt returns. Every day I persist, belief deepens. Every day I retreat, doubt multiplies. The mind does not forget your inconsistency. It remembers the moment you said, "I'll try again tomorrow," and it begins to accept that as your standard. But when you persist, when you speak your aim even when it feels flat, when you act even when results are unseen, you train the subconscious to trust you. And when it trusts you, it begins to obey before you speak. You cannot stop, you cannot slip, you cannot skip a day. This 30-day process is not about what happens outside of you. It is about the rhythm you are building within you. And if you break that rhythm, the old one returns. The old voice knows your pattern. It waits for your hesitation. Do not give it the victory of return. Even one skipped morning tells the subconscious that the new law was optional. Even one lazy evening tells your mind that belief is negotiable. And when that happens, doubt seizes its opportunity. But when you persist, day after day, word after word, action after action, you install a new rhythm so powerful that even fatigue must bow to it. Persistence is the cement of belief. Repetition is the hammer. Faith is the fire. And together they build a structure of identity that no criticism, no delay, no former failure can tear down. You may think, but nothing's changed yet. That thought is the last breath of your old self. Do not entertain it. Do not debate it. Respond only with action. Every new identity is invisible before it is felt. Every rhythm is silent before it becomes sound. The first proof of change is persistence itself. Let me now give you your standard for this part of the journey. You will speak your aim every day. Without fail, you will act toward it every day, without excuse. You will hold your vision even when your senses mock it. You will complete the full 30 days, no skipped mornings, no skipped nights. You will move through fatigue. You will not seek motivation. You will rely on decision. Say this aloud with the full conviction of a man who has decided, I persist without pause. I feed my identity daily. I do not stop. I do not slip. I do not retreat. Say it again. I persist without pause. I feed my identity daily. I do not stop. I do not slip. I do not retreat. Say it until the voice of your past no longer interrupts. Say it until the urge to retreat is no longer welcome. Say it until persistence becomes your pulse. You are not waiting for success to give you permission. You are not begging for belief to come and rescue you. You are not delaying until you feel ready. You are declaring your readiness by refusing to stop. This is the moment that separates the dreamers from the builders, the repeaters from the record setters, the wishers from the men who command. Do not stop 3 feet from gold. Do not break the rhythm before the sound of your new self takes over. You are being watched, not by others, but by your subconscious. And it is waiting to see if the man you declared is the man you are willing to prove. If you have reached this point, if you have spoken your chief aim every morning, acted upon it daily, persisted when nothing seemed to change, confronted the old thoughts and killed them at their root, then I must now speak to you differently, because you are no longer the same man who began this journey. You are not a seeker of change. You are now the proof of it. You are no longer a man hoping to believe. You are a man who has built belief with his own two hands. Your subconscious has accepted the new command. Your identity is no longer default. It is designed. And what you now think, say, and do springs from the new thought that has replaced the old one. This is not magic. It is not chance. It is the result of repeated instruction, the result of obedience to law, the result of daily discipline when emotion faded and excitement wore thin. You now walk in a mental rhythm that was chosen, not inherited. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are directing it from the inside. But let me warn you now, transformation is not complete when a new self is born. It is only complete when that self is preserved. Too many men, having built something strong, allow it to erode. They complete the 30 days with conviction, only to say, "I'm done," as if identity were a task to check off a list. But belief, once planted, must be watered. A mind, once cleansed of doubt, must be guarded. Repetition created the new self, and repetition must now protect him. So I say to you, do not stop here. You must evolve the thought, advance the aim, refine the affirmation. Now that you believe in your ability to command your mind, raise the command, expand your capacity, stretch the vision, not because you are not enough, but because you have proven you are. What was once a 30-day challenge is now your new way of living. You are not going back to who you were. You are not entertaining that voice again. The old identity no longer holds a seat at your table. You have decided, and decision, when made fully, must be final. Now I give you something I discovered during my own transformation, and it is a concept I urge you to apply. Give your new self a name. In my deepest inner search, I came to know what I called my other self, a version of me that was no longer ruled by fear, no longer reactive to the opinions of others, no longer paralyzed by delay or indecision. This other self did not emerge through thinking alone. He emerged through practice, repetition, correction, and action. You must now meet your version of this self. The man you have become is no longer just potential. He has been forged through your habits, your discipline, your consistency. He deserves a name, a presence, a voice in your day. Call him what you will, leader, builder, commander, architect. Let it reflect the man who moves with conviction, speaks with clarity, and no longer entertains the identity of the past. Each morning when you wake, you're not merely starting another day, you are protecting the standard you have established. The world will offer temptation to drift. Voices will reappear. Doubt will knock, softly at first, dressed in familiarity. Your job is to guard the gate. The thought you have spoken for 30 days must not be allowed to fade. It must not become routine. It must be renewed, deepened, extended. You will now do 3 things every day. Repeat your thought aloud, not because you forgot it, but because you are reminding the subconscious it is still the law. Take action in alignment, not because you are uncertain, but because this is how you honor the man you've become. Speak to your new self with respect, not as a visitor, but as your permanent identity. If you do this, the subconscious will strengthen its allegiance. The old patterns will grow faint. The new identity will take deeper root. And your world, your results, your confidence, your momentum will begin to expand at a pace that astonishes even you. Let me be clear. This transformation was never about speaking one phrase. It was about becoming the man who repeats what he has chosen until the universe and his own mind cannot disobey him. Say this final affirmation aloud. Let it cement the structure you've built. This thought has become me. I do not think it occasionally. I live it daily. I decide. I move. I become. Say it again. This thought has become me. I do not think it occasionally. I live it daily. I decide. I move. I become. This is no longer theory. This is your rhythm. This is no longer hope. This is your law. The man who began this 30-day process was unsure. The man who ends it is rebuilt. You are no longer drifting. You are declaring. You are no longer reacting. You are commanding. You are no longer waiting. You are becoming. You have declared your chief aim. You have repeated it. You have acted on it. You have persisted. You have silenced the old identity and begun to build the new. But no construction stands forever without maintenance. And the human mind, more powerful than any machine, more sacred than any temple, requires daily correction. The real war of identity is not fought once. It is fought every day in the thoughts you allow, the emotions you dwell on, and the pictures you permit to live in your imagination. You may not see it, but at every hour of the day, thoughts knock at the door of your consciousness. And if you are not vigilant, if you are not present, those thoughts will enter quietly and sit where your chief aim once stood. You must now become a watchman over your mind. Your thoughts must be policed, not occasionally, but habitually. Every thought you think is either a builder or a breaker. It either reinforces your chosen identity or attempts to return you to the man you buried. This is the final, most important exercise I can give you. It is the practice of mental interruption and installation, a three-step discipline that, if repeated daily, will ensure that the identity you have built remains strong, clear, and dominant. Step 1, catch yourself. Thinking a negative thought. The first skill you must master is awareness. You cannot correct what you do not notice. And so the first command is this: catch the thought as it arises. It may appear subtly. It may dress itself in logic. It may sound like, what if this doesn't work? I don't think I'm doing enough. Maybe I'm not the kind of person who finishes things. These phrases are not innocent. They are the residue of the old rhythm. They are the remnants of the man you've outgrown. And if allowed to linger, they will begin to attract their own kind, because every thought is magnetic. You must recognize these thoughts immediately. Do not argue with them. Do not entertain them. Do not analyze them. Simply say, that is not my thought. That is not who I am now. That sentence alone will begin to break the rhythm. Awareness is not perfection, it is power, and most men never develop this power. They live in reaction, unaware that their mind has been hijacked. But you are not most men. You have trained, you have declared, and now you must defend. Step 2, replace the thought with a new one. Once you catch the old thought, you must not leave a vacuum. The subconscious does not respond to silence, it responds to repetition. So you must immediately replace the old thought with a new one. This is where your new identity lines come into action. Have them ready, have them written, have them memorized. For every category of doubt, have a weapon prepared. For example, if the old thought says, I'm behind, you respond, I move forward daily, and every step builds my momentum. If the old thought says, I always quit, you speak, I am the type of person who finishes what he starts. If the old thought says, this isn't working, you declare, what I repeat becomes real, and I do not stop. This is not pretending. This is programming. You are not describing how you feel. You are installing the belief you have chosen to live by. The power of the mind lies in repetition. The moment you interrupt the old rhythm and insert the new, you stop doubt from building its fortress. The longer a negative thought is left unchallenged, the more it multiplies. But if you respond in the first 5 seconds, you starve it of life. Step 3, expand the positive thought in detail. This is the part most men neglect, but it is the part that builds the greatest strength. Once you have installed the new thought, do not move on too quickly. Sit with it. Expand it. Give it roots. Close your eyes. Visualize it in detail. See the thought as a scene. If your line is, I am the type of person who speaks with power, then imagine yourself doing exactly that. Feel your shoulders back, your breath strong, your words clear. Hear the tone of your voice. Feel the certainty in your chest. Create the movie of this belief. This is what I call emotional reinforcement. The subconscious accepts what is repeated, but it accepts even more readily what is repeated with emotion and detail. If you do this, you are not simply reciting a better sentence, you are installing a better identity. Do this for at least 60 seconds. If you are in public, do it silently. If you are alone, speak it aloud. Every time you give your mind the full sensory image of your new self, the subconscious deepens the belief, and over time, it will begin to return that image automatically without prompting. Your job is to repeat this exercise not once, but every time you catch a thought that does not belong to the man you are becoming. In the beginning, you may do it 10 times a day. That is not failure, that is refinement, that is the polishing of your internal rhythm. That is the final step in owning your mind. Why this works, the law of thought attraction. Let me remind you again of the law of harmony. Every thought attracts more thoughts of its own kind. A negative thought allowed to remain will call its cousins. One complaint attracts another. One doubt invites discouragement. One moment of hesitation opens the door to delay. But the same is true for your chosen thought. Speak power, and the mind will search for more of it. Speak direction, and the subconscious will start filtering out distraction. Visualize belief, and action will follow it. You must never underestimate the compound power of thought. One correction today may prevent a collapse tomorrow. One visualization now may produce the courage you need when the test arrives. You are not simply thinking, you are training the mind to serve your vision. This is not a casual exercise. This is a lifetime weapon. There will always be thoughts, some old, some foreign, some disguised as helpful. But the trained man does not entertain them. The trained man interrupts, replaces, reinforces, and moves. From this moment forward, you must carry your identity like a sword. Do not let a single sentence live in your mind unless it builds the life you've declared. The old voice may return, but it will find no home. And when doubt knocks again, and it will, you will not panic. You will not negotiate. You will speak. This thought has become me. I do not think it occasionally. I live it daily. I decide. I move. I become. You are now the guardian of your mind. You have trained your focus, commanded your voice, moved in alignment, persisted through silence, and declared who you are. You do not merely think a new thought. You are now the man who protects it.